Hi, I'm Arlene McIntyre, Creative Director at Ventura Design, and you're listening to Shut the Front Door, a light-hearted podcast that will bring you through the front door and into the homes of influential and interesting people. Home for me is one of the most important things in my life. My career has fortunately given me the opportunity to work closely with people and to help them create a home they will cherish forever. This week we are joined by racing legend Barry Geraghty. Hailing from County Meath, Barry retired from a glittering career in horse racing earlier this year. He is the second most successful jockey of all time at the Cheltenham Festival, and at the time of his retirement last year, Barry had 1,920 winners under his belt. He is no stranger to the phrase "shut the front door," having rode a horse of the same name back in 2014 at the Irish Grand National. He has recently released his own autobiography called True Colours, and I can't wait to chat to him about it. Married to Paula, a nutritionist, and father to Siofra, Orla and Rian, it's my great pleasure to chat with you today, Barry, on Shut the Front Door. Hello, Barry. How are you?
Very good, Arlene. Thank you.
Thank you for chatting with me today. I've been looking forward to this chat.
Yeah.
How has the lockdown been treating you?
Yeah, like everyone, it's been a big change to life, if you like. But timing-wise, it's in a way it's worked well for me. Thankfully, it hasn't COVID-19 hasn't darkened our door, so health-wise, it's had no negative effect. But I announced my retirement in July, but really I had retired after the Cheltenham Festival when racing was shut down and finished up. So I knew then I was retired. So it's given me a good time to pause and to get off the treadmill, if you like, and relax, and the pace of life to slow. So it's worked well for me in that sense, and I've been able to just slow life down and say get off all the adrenaline of racing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you've had such a busy career. I can't imagine what retirement will look like for you, because I mean, you've been on planes, trains and automobiles and all over the place, riding everywhere. It's going to be a huge adjustment for you, but I'm going to get into all those questions with you as we go along. And really, congratulations on your retirement and your new book. And I'm really looking forward to reading it, actually.
Yeah, no.
I think it's going to make a great Christmas present.
Yeah, hopefully so. It's doing well. The reviews are good, and I'm getting good reports back from anyone who's read it. So it's good and it's exciting. Yes.
So Barry, I'd start a podcast with asking you a few questions about your first childhood memories of home. Can you share a few of those with me?
Yeah, we grew up in a farmhouse, if you like, in the country. Myself and two older brothers. There's only about 2.5 years from the eldest to me and third, so we shared the room, the three of us. Busy room, full of Lego, full of clothes, full of everything. But I would say there was more attention paid to outdoor than indoor, with horses and sheep and whatnot. So I can't say we'd have dressed our bedroom in any particular style. It was for sleeping and playing with Lego, and then you're out the door and you were chasing ponies or riding ponies or climbing hay bales or making swings. So we were very much outdoor kids. So it was the attention was more out there, really, I suppose.
And growing up, what was it that made you first really interested in horses? Do you remember the day you realized you wanted to be a jockey, or was it just something that was always in you?
There was always a strong interest in horses from all the way through. My grandfather bred Golden Miller, who won 5 Cheltenham Gold Cups and the Entry Grand National back in the 30s. So we always had a strong connection to racing, and you were glued to the TV on a Saturday, or you were glued to the TV for the English Grand National, the Irish Grand National, whatever was the big meeting that was on. So there was always a strong interest, and I rode ponies through my youth, and I would suppose when I was about 11 or then I started, pushing myself further, and the confidence I got from that, and it just grew and grew really quickly from there. And by the time I was in my teens, all I wanted to be was a jockey.
Wow. And was there a lot of training and learning involved in becoming a jockey?
I suppose it's like any sport. You're learning it as you go, and it's all experience. And with my two older brothers, we were racing each other around the farm, if you like, jumping, and who can go faster, who can jump higher. You're constantly pushing the boundaries, and you're gaining experience through this and getting stronger, getting more confident. You're constantly learning. So it's like a constant mini apprenticeship through your youth. It's like a kid playing football. It's improving your skills the whole time. So you're nurturing your talent unknown to yourself just through what you're doing. And then I started riding pony racing when I was about 14. And I did 2.5-3 years riding pony racing, and that really that sharpened me for what I wanted to do and what I eventually went on to do.
And did you feel that you had a competitive streak, like you enjoyed the whole winning part of the racing?
Definitely very competitive. But loved the buzz of it, loved the buzz of the speed. Rode some show jumping as a kid, but it didn't have the same adrenaline rush for me. So I was drawn towards speed, and you watch racing, and you know Cheltenham and Aintree and these meetings, and you're looking at Gold Cups, and you're dreaming of winning Grand Nationals. So it's, you know, to be able to go on and make that your career and your living, you really are living the dream. So it's all I ever wanted to do. There was no plan B. I left school at 15, wanting to be a jockey, and as I say, I'm lucky it worked out. But there was no plan B.
Wow, no plan B. That's brilliant. It did. It seriously worked out for you. And I'm sure the name Shut the Front Door brings back a load of memories for you, Barry. Was winning the Grand National at Ferryhouse back in 2014 like one of your most treasured victories or memories?
Definitely. I first rode an Irish Grand National in 98 when I was about 18, and I had a really fancied mount that year. But she ran okay, but was well beat. But I'd ridden, I'd say, in every Grand National from then. I rode lots of fancied rides. I never even came close. I grew up about 10 minutes from Ferryhouse. I now live about 5 minutes from Ferryhouse. So it's very much my local track. It's where I grew up. And even as a kid, I remember standing at the last fence in the Irish Grand National when I was 11, watching Adrian Maguire win it on a Murta, beating Carawilla Howe and Charlie Swan in probably 1991 maybe. And it was a race that I would have longed to win, but I never went close. So to finally win it on Shut the Front Door in 2014 was brilliant. I had Paula there, Siofra and Orla were with us. Rian wasn't born at the time. So it was a real local family buzz, and it was, I suppose at that point in my career, I was well in my 30s. I'm thinking, will I ever win an Irish Grand National? So to eventually get one was brilliant. And to get it for JP McManus and John Joe O'Neill, who've been two brilliant supporters of mine over the years. Yeah,
gosh. And Barry, has it been hard to adjust to being retired? I'm sure it's like you just can't instantly switch off from a sporting career. Do you think it'll take you some time to adjust to it all?
It has, but it's been something that I've been aware of through the last, I would say, since early December. So I broke my leg badly in April 2019, and I had an external frame fitted. I had that for 14 weeks, and that had 3 screws going into my shin bone and 4 wires going through my leg at different places, my lower leg. So that was a rough ordeal. And to come back through that, albeit at the time I had no intention of retiring at that time, all I wanted to do was get back healthy and get back racing. And I got back in early October, and you know, things were going nicely, but I started to reflect and think maybe, you know, you don't necessarily get out in one piece. You don't necessarily get the fairy tale ending. So maybe this was a good time. I was 40. I'm now 41. And I suppose I created awareness probably back in December that maybe this is a good time to stop. And I've really been preparing myself since then, really. And I think that's enabled me to change that. And as I said earlier, the lockdown has, in a way, worked well for me, because I wasn't sitting on the sidelines as soon as I retired watching racing, and even racing behind closed doors as a jockey, it wouldn't be as appealing as it would have been before. So it's probably made the adjustment a little bit easier, but it's something I have prepared for a long time. Yeah.
And Barry, I must say, I love watching all the jockeys' faces just, you know, that moment before the gates open and the race starts. Do you mind sharing with me what's going on in your head just in those very moments? Or, you know, your memories of those moments?
Yeah, everything. And especially the bigger the race, you know, you would have visualized all the possibles, but you're also working on previous experience. Whereas if something happens in the race, because you've experienced this before, maybe hundreds of times, your instinct takes over. You don't even think, you just know instantly. So you're when you're at the start and you're lined up to go before the flag drops, you are on a high sense of alert. You're watching everything. And it's your adrenaline flowing. You will never be as focused on anything in your life as you will just be in that moment, switched on. The place could be burning down around you, but you are just, your mind is in one place alone, and you need that focus. And because it's obviously a high risk sport, you need to be prepared for all the eventualities. Anything can happen at any stage, and you need your instinct to make that decision just instantly, and make the right one ideally. And that's where the experience really counts. But it's a brilliant game, but it's full on, and it's intense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's high risk, high pressure, major responsibility. You've got to totally be able to think in like second solutions. And then you've got all these different variables, with the horse and everything. I just don't know how you do it. It's fascinating. It's been fascinating to watch you over the years. Did you ever get nervous before a race?
As a youngster, I suppose when I started when I was 17, you would have a certain level of anxiety, not so much worried for a fall or worried about a fall, but, worried about just getting things right, because you haven't got that experience and you're not as sure as regards whether the pace is right. You have to be able to judge the pace. Are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? Judge your position in the race. Should I be further forward, further back? And you're constantly reassessing that through a race. And as you get older and more experienced, that it becomes second nature. But at a younger age, when you're starting out, there is a lot of uncertainty because you don't have that experience. I broke my collarbone when I was 17, was the first fracture I had on the race course. And I remember I was off for 3 weeks and I came back at the Galway Festival and I was really worried and tense and nervous for no reason. But as soon as I rode, I came in and I said to myself, what was all that about? There was no need for it, And so I never, again, worried about anything. And even last year when I came back from the broken leg, having been out for 6 months, Paula couldn't get over the excitement I had that day going back racing. She thought, maybe I wouldn't enjoy it, or maybe I was dreading the thoughts of it because it was the worst injury I've had in my career at that stage. And she thought maybe I wouldn't want it as much, but she could see on the day I was like a child at Christmas. I was high as a kite. Couldn't get there soon enough. And so that was the one time I got nervous after an injury, but never since.
Yeah, gosh, you must have a very high pain threshold, Barry.
Well, that's the other side of it is. So I've probably known through my career as being someone who would deal with pressure or big situations really well, but I would have had a great strength of blocking stuff out. So I would block out the pressure of a big day. I would block out the pressure of an injury, block out the pain. You'd take yourself away from it. So you would block stuff out. And it's something I've had to work on through a mindfulness coach, of connecting better, because when I would block things out on those occasions, and also then when maybe things weren't going as smooth, I would be blocking that out and would become a little bit withdrawn. So I had to work on that. And that mindfulness and awareness, I think, has put me in a better place for retirement. I'm fit, I'm healthy and well. I could be still racing if you wanted, and I could have been racing for 2 or 3 more years. But there came a time when you said, you know what, I'm going to be the same at 41, not regretting stopping, but you're going to be looking at a horse you could have ridden. It'll be the same at 43, the same at 44. So that awareness, I was able to take myself away from it. So it's something I had to work on and felt good benefit from it.
Yes. And what always motivated you to get back up on the horse after each injury?
Just good horses, big races. That's what I loved. That's what I loved. Although I rode a lot of winners, I was never driven by numbers. I was more driven by quality. The Irish Grand National, the English Grand National, Gold Cups, Champion Hurdles, Champion Chases, Tingle Creeks, King George's, the big day. And because I relished that pressure, because I could block out that pressure, I could enjoy it. And you're looking at the fella sitting beside you, and you can see him, you know, curled up in a ball, and he's stressed, worrying about this and the what ifs. Whereas, you know, I like to think I was cruising through, and you even grow on watching people struggling, and you're thinking, this is easy, lads. What are you worried about? So it's, that's and probably why I love the big day and love the pressure of it, because you see the people around you maybe crumbling.
Yeah. So that's your thing. You totally could perform under pressure. Some people can and some people can't, you know, even like in other dangerous sports, you know, like skiing, for example, you know, that's really high speed sport. You know, that's just, you've got to be able to think fast and be able to make quick decisions.
And it's what you grow up doing. It goes back to the same thing. It's muscle memory, it's instinct. And it's probably a good comparison to make with skiing, because everything is instant changes, and, you know, balance. And for that balance, a lot of that comes from muscle memory, because your core strength will hold you in position, but you need to kick in different muscles at different stages to keep you in the right position. And when a horse hits a fence and he turns sideways but doesn't fall, you have to be able to hang tight. And muscle memory, everything. So it's I suppose serious core fitness, and you would have that with skiing. So it's a good analogy.
Yeah. Wow. Tell me, Barry, what was it like meeting the Queen?
A lovely woman to meet. Really nice, really knowledgeable. She's a horsewoman. Is her big thing, horses and racing especially. So the conversation would never drop. She loves her racing, loves her horses. I wrote Barbershop for her in the Cheltenham Gold Cup in 2009. That was the first time I met her in the parade ring, and just a lovely woman and so knowledgeable. But as I was going to mount up on Barbershop, she just said to me, just quietly, she said, if your chance is gone, don't be hard on them, which is a really nice thing to hear. Most owners, you know, all they want is success, and, you know, or some owners want success, and but for her to say that she if I was going to finish 7th or 8th, don't give them a hard race. We want it for the next day. Don't leave it all out there. If you're not going to be in the first 2 or 3, don't give them a hard time. So just a really nice, it's what you hear a horse person say, and so it was a really nice thing, but a lovely woman to meet.
Really, I've been watching The Crown. You know, it came out Sunday night, and I was watching it again last night, and I was thinking of you, Barry, when I saw her with the horses. Like, she just loves her horses, and she just it just seems like she really connects with them on a really deep level. It's almost like she can understand their thoughts or something.
She can, and she's that's her love. And Princess Anne was very successful as an event rider. She rode in the Olympics, and Zara, who was the Queen's granddaughter, the same. So there would be a very strong connection with horses, and I suppose for the same reason the conversation would never drop then.
Yeah. Barry, you are just so lucky to have been blessed to have the most amazing, loving support of Paula through the years.
Very much so.
It must be very exciting for her to have you back and in one piece.
Oh, definitely. When I was laying on the ground in Aintree last April 2019, and with my broken leg, and the screens go up and the cameras move on, and so the doctor comes to me as I'm on the ground, and I can see my leg is bent and turned inwards, and I know it's completely broken. So, but the first thing I did was just give him Paula's number, give her a ring, because let her know it's my leg, it's not my neck.
Yeah.
You know, she's seen so many horror falls over the years, and some you get up and you walk away. But I didn't want her to be stuck at home here. She was due to fly over to Liverpool that night. I didn't want her stuck at home with the kids, worrying what is it? What is the injury? Because, you know, unfortunately, we've had, you know, friends who've been badly injured over the years, and it's a tough game. And so at least she doesn't have to chase the ambulance anymore for now, not on the racecourse anyway.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sure she's been through the wars watching you on the telly and in the stands. It's tough. It's exciting, but it's so terrifying, you know, at the same time. Barry, where do you see the future of horse racing going after COVID-19? I mean, that's a big question. Do you think things will ever get back to normal soon?
Well, I suppose like all areas of life. We're hoping everything will get back to normal. We're very fortunate with racing that it's continuing. It's brilliant to be able to see it. I haven't been racing behind closed doors, but to have it on the TV and to be able to watch it is exciting, and it's nearly normal, if you like. But racing is lucky that way, that it has been able to continue. But I would suppose syndicates and smaller owners, we're facing a recession, and racing is this, it's disposable income is going to be spent on racing. So there's probably not as much disposable income around as there was. So it's going to be affected negatively, but it's probably the same for most sports or most hobbies that are going to be negatively affected. So it's the sooner we can get out of this and get back to a healthy economy, I think everything will do better then. But it's it's great that racing is going ahead, but the future is, I'm not saying it's uncertain, but it's definitely not as strong as it was before COVID.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? How many countries have you raced in?
I have England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France, America. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. I haven't gone any further than that. So I've been to the States a few times, and I've been to France a few times.
What was that like in America?
It was nice, but it's jump racing in America wouldn't be as big a thing as it is in Ireland or England. So it's the poor relative of the flat racing. But I rode in Saratoga, which would be one of their premier tracks over the jumps. I rode there, so where you would have a lot of big flat meetings there. So it was nice to see Saratoga and ride in it. But the standard of racing in Ireland and England and even France would be much higher than it is in the States. France was very different, because France is very much they're taught funds racing, and it's the betting shops are all done through the state-run tote body, so all funding goes back into racing. So it's a bit like racing behind closed doors. You wouldn't have a big attendance, but you would have people all over France betting and watching. So you would have small crowds, but these massive tracks and massive stands. And it's Auteuil in particular. It's a beautiful place and a big, huge track, but it's very different from Ireland or England, that you wouldn't have the attendance on the day wouldn't be as big. So it's a little bit different, but definitely Ireland and England for jump racing are far and ahead, head and shoulders above anywhere else in the world.
And what part of racing do you think you'll miss the most? Will you miss the roars and the cheers in the background and all the buzz and the excitement? Yeah,
but I suppose I will. But it comes at a cost, if you like. There's a lot that goes into your week, all over the country, England or Ireland. 6:30 flights to Bristol, 6:30 to Stansted, Birmingham, wherever it is. So it's very much, and you're on call as well, 24/7.
Yes.
You could be on a crash diet, get a phone call, and you might have to lose 7 pounds in a day and a half. So it's that part of life. It's the slowing of the pace. I'm really enjoying. Yeah, I'm enjoying not being on call as much, not having to watch flights, race entries, everything. So I'm enjoying that slower pace. So the big days are what I will miss, but the big days are 15 or 20 days in the year, where there's another 100 days from my season would have really been from October to the end of April was the busy time for me, commuting between England and Ireland. So, there's all those other days where you're constantly going. There's a lot of graft goes into it. So I know the price the big days come at, and at my age, it was time to maybe go a different direction.
Exactly. And since you first started out in racing, has anything changed over the years for jockeys, do you think?
Definitely. The level of fitness, diet, lifestyle. I would have come along in the late 90s, and a night out before a big meeting was that's how it was done. And I won the Aintree Grand National in 2003, and I would have had a good party on late night the night before, but that's how it was done, and you wouldn't have smelled too fresh the following day going racing. But when you ride a winner with a hangover, it's better again. So, but that was the environment. And I was happy to run with the pack. Whereas in the last the last 10 or 12 years, it's become more professional. The young lads now in their early 20s, if they saw what happened 20 years ago, they would drop dead with what fellas with 4 o'clock in the morning finishes and they're heading out in Cheltenham the following day. So
dangerous. Wow.
Yeah, and it was great fun.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see both sides. But nutrition, lifestyle, fitness, core fitness, everything. But most sport has gone more professional, and you see that with golfers, rugby, everything. It's because it's results driven, and you have to make those sacrifices. So it's which is brilliant. I think people are healthier, but I definitely enjoyed seeing both sides of it.
Yeah, totally. It's like with modeling, when you see the supermodels of the past, they were out partying all night and then they'd rock into a photo shoot the next day and they just looked fantastic, obviously, after hours of hair and makeup. But now the models are all into their fitness, their health, their mindfulness. It's just everything has changed and it's really good.
It is good. And when you see teenagers too, they're more body conscious, which is great. And it's people are minding themselves better and healthier and making better choices, whereas it was a bit more car crash 20 years ago.
But you survived it all. You must be made of rubber. You just keep bouncing back, Barry. It's incredible. So after a very, very long day or week of racing, and when you used to come home, where was your favourite place to relax in your home?
Well, when I'd come home after maybe a few days in England, I'd enjoy hitting the couch with the kids and having a bit of fun. Or I'd say then the following day, when the dust had settled after coming home, to sit at the island, have breakfast. Kids come home from school, we'd be doing homework, we'd be Play-Doh, messing. So probably sitting at the island during the week would be the spot. But on a Saturday night after a busy few days, there's nothing better than coming home and crashing on the couch and maybe watching I'm a Celebrity, get me out there with the kids and having a laugh.
Excellent. They're the best days. They're the best moments, really.
They are. And we've started this year's series now, so we're watching the Welsh Jungle, and it's great fun. The kids love it, so it's all good.
Excellent. So are you still an early riser? Like when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do?
I would be an early riser, yeah. First thing would be a pint of water and Revive Active would be my first thing. Okay. And would get going from there. I'd go out and feed the horses, come back in, make a pot of coffee and get breakfast going.
Gosh, you're so lucky that Paula is a nutritionist. I'm sure she's really looked after you and helped you with your health and your eating habits.
Exactly, eating habits and obviously health, but it's making the right choice. Making the right food choices has become very natural in this house. So you would look to eat the right thing, and you probably become more aware of feeling better for eating the right food, rather than make the wrong choice. And you can struggle for a day or two after eating junk for the weekend. So you feel better for eating better.
Yes.
Mind and gut are connected, and so I would constantly be learning from Paula just through living. And you'd know the right choice you feel better for, and the kids would feel it as well. So, it's a massive benefit.
Yeah, for sure. And I've always wondered, Barry, as well, like with all the adrenaline that you would use on a major race, the next day, are you absolutely exhausted physically, mentally?
After a busy weekend, you would. After Cheltenham, if you like, 4 days in Cheltenham is long, because you're at the race course from 10 o'clock in the morning. You run the track. You might have a few pounds to lose, which wouldn't be a massive thing, but you could be run a few laps of track for half an hour, into the sauna for 20 minutes. Then you could have 4 or 5 rides, high pressure. It's a very adrenaline driven room. You're not out of there until maybe 5:30 in the evening, and then you won't get out of the race course till 6:30 or 7:00, have a bite to eat, and before you know it's 10 o'clock, and then you're wrecked, crash, bed, and repeat. So you have that for 4 days. So by Friday night of Cheltenham, after the 4 biggest days in the season, you're fairly burnt out.
Yeah, geez Louise. But it's also worth it. I mean, being able to look back at all your achievements, you've had the most incredible career. What's been your proudest moment so far in your racing career?
Well, Cheltenham has always been very lucky for me over the years, and lucky to have won all the big races in it, and I had great years. And I suppose this year to sign off with the 5 winners from just 11 rides, that was that was probably the perfect way to finish off for me, because that is the high pressure environment. And if you want to get out of the top, I couldn't really improve much on that. The other big one in my career would have been to win the International.
Yeah.
As a kid, from the time, my earliest life memory is as a 4-year-old in 1983, grease paint running in the Aintree Grand National. He was locally trained and ridden. So my earliest life memory is the Grand National. So that's how much that race would connect back to me since I was knee high. And to get that is so important. I've got it. And if it wasn't on my CV, that would be the biggest omission you could have.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think any of your children will follow into your path?
I think they could possibly. Siofra and Orla and Rian, they all ride and enjoy it. So we'll wait and see. I'll support them if they do decide to go that way, but I wouldn't be chasing them down that route unless they really want it. So we'll wait and see. But they all enjoy the ponies and horses, and it's a good interest for them, and it's a nice thing to do in the country, I suppose. But we'll wait and see what interest they have as life goes.
Absolutely. And this is just a little bit of an off-piece question, but are you a spiritual person? Like, before a big race, would you ever just kind of say, God, if you're looking down on me, wish me luck? Would you be kind of...
I suppose maybe not before a race as such, but I would be at home on a Sunday, Sunday morning to go to Mass when we could, and important to bring the kids to Mass. So I would have faith. I suppose, like everyone, we only turn to God when a lot of people when things aren't going so well. So I would have a positive outlook going out in a race. So unless things were going bad, I might turn to God then. But no, and at home, definitely faith would be strong, and as I say, we would be practicing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm sure that's kept you through. And gosh, God only knows. Paula, I'm sure, has relied on faith over the years to keep bringing you home in one piece.
Oh, for sure. And aunts and uncles and everyone, you would get a text after a bad fall about, we've been praying for you. So you would have a lot of prayers and a lot of well wishes in situations like that. So
what will Christmas be like in the Geraghty household this year?
It'll be very different anyway. It's obviously with racing on Stephen's Day is such a big thing, and it's been that way since I was 17. So I don't really know life any different from that. So it's going to be a lot more relaxed, I'd imagine, anyway. When we would go to Kerry for Christmas, I would be up on Paula too. She'd be at 5 o'clock in the morning to drop me to Shannon to get a flight to Heathrow.
Wow.
So Christmas night generally finished up early with an early start on Stephen's morning. So it'll be definitely quieter and more relaxed and more family time, because Christmas more or less finished for me on Christmas evening. So it's you have a short from before that. I've never been able to enjoy the days after Christmas. So it'll be different this year, and I look forward to that change.
Excellent. And you can have a few mince pies and not worry about it. You can just relax.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm trying not to eat too many.
And is fitness still a big part of your life? Do you find that you're still in that routine of looking after yourself?
I would. We do yoga 2 mornings a week on Zoom, which is really good. I enjoy that. I still ride out. I was, during the summer, I went for feeling, I thought, God, I'm not that fit, I'll have to start running again, because I would have ran a lot over the years for weight and fitness, but actually decided then, no, do you know what, I won't run, because I didn't want to be too fit, because that's been the way I've been all my life, and you're like a coiled spring, and it's, it sharpens your senses and everything. So I'm happier to unwind and be a bit more laid back, and I'm physically fit, but I'm not trained, if you know what I mean. So I'm very active, and I've kept busy, and I'm in good shape. I haven't put on much weight, and I'd like to keep it that way. But I don't want to be, as I say, like that Kyle Spring that I've been for the last 24 years. Yeah.
And Barry, tell me, in the evenings when you're relaxing, how do you spend time relaxing with your family in the evenings? Where would you be in the house?
I could be at the islands. It could be on the couch here. It could be playing double with Rian or anything. There's all sorts of games. There could be homework being done. A little bit of TV. You could be on the floor messing, playing. So it generally happens anywhere and everywhere. So it's we have a fun house and a relaxed house. So it's we just try and enjoy the kids and have a good time.
Excellent. And what one piece in your home holds the most special memories for you?
We have a photo frame of collage of the night I announced my retirement. So we had a garden party here at home, and thankfully the timing was right. We could have less than 100 people, so we had about 90 family and friends for my belated 40th birthday party, and the Cheltenham celebration. And I dropped a bombshell of my retirement on the night. So we'd close friends and family, and most importantly, our 3 kids were there with us until all hours, dancing. A brilliant night, but it was very personal. And there's a beautiful collage of photos of that night, and they're probably it was probably, since our wedding, it was the biggest family occasion, if you like, and it was an amazing night.
Wow. Looking back over your career, who do you think has been the greatest Irish sports person of all time that really influenced you?
Yeah, there's been lots, really. I suppose lots of jockeys would have influenced me over the years. Conrad Ware, Paul Carberry, both would have had a very laid-back approach, but gifted horsemen, and Charlie Swan, tactically brilliant. But when you look further, Christy O'Connor Jr., he was an amazing man. Like, although I'm not a golfer, but personality, he was brilliant. And I met him over the years, and unfortunately we've lost him since, but a lovely man, great fun, great company, and you could see how he enjoyed his golf. And I suppose I was always drawn to that kind of person, someone who enjoyed what they did and just let it flow, and were never tortured by it, and never driven by success rather than fear of failure, and just being able to embrace it, enjoy it. So lots of good people like that. And I've been very fortunate over the years to met a lot of my idols as a kid. You know, the Irish soccer team, we would have met, Niall Quinn, John Aldridge, Ray Houghton, Ronnie Whelan, all those lads. You'd meet them at Aintree, you'd meet them at different places. And like that, there's great buzz off them. Paul McGrath as well, lovely man, just really good people, and they enjoy their sport, and they enjoy racing as well. So you have a good, so lots of really good. But generally, I'd suppose I was drawn towards the person who enjoyed it and wasn't tortured by it.
Love that. That's really good. And tell me, Barry, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I've always enjoyed working with young horses. So I was very lucky. We had Bobsworth here as a yearling. We sold him as a 4-year-old, and I went on to ride him lots of big winners in Leopardstown and Newbury, and I won the Cheltenham Gold Cup on him in 2013, I think it was. So he was a brilliant horse, and I've had a connection with him all the way through his career. Was brilliant. But I enjoy bringing on, nurturing young talent, so that's something I would do myself. I suppose supporting Paula in doing her own thing as well as in nutrition, and she's been working herself on well-being for kids and teens, and she's been concentrating on that a lot lately. So I suppose supporting her, and maybe this is her time, where I've had my time for the last donkey's years. It's maybe her time to take over and follow her path.
That's so lovely. And what advice, Barry, would you give to your younger self?
Yeah, there's lots of things you could say, and it probably relates back to what I was saying earlier about not being driven by fear of failure. And I always felt to take your job seriously, but not yourself. And that was something I would have always felt myself, and any young person going into anything. And it's for the same reason, because you want to enjoy it, and you don't want it to change the person you are, and to have fun. And I suppose I've been very fortunate to do the job I've been doing for so long, and for it to be something that I love. And it's so important to be doing something that you love, and it's not work then, it's fun.
Exactly. Now, Barry, I'm going to ask you something very quickly. It's a separate thing. It's called a quick fire round of questions. So it's just one or the other. Okay, are you ready?
I am.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Socks or jocks?
Both.
Text or talk?
Talk.
Jock. UK or Irish horses?
UK.
Riding or reading?
Riding.
Taxi or walk?
Walk.
Vacation or staycation?
Look forward to vacation.
Home or abroad?
Home.
Training or racing?
Training now.
Glass half empty or glass half full?
Oh, overflowing.
And my last question, 2020 or 2021?
Hopefully 21, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Barry, listen, the best years of your life are ahead of you now with yourself and Paula and your family. And I wish you and your family all the best.
Thank you very much, Arlene.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you.